So for somebody new out there that is looking to break into the business, you want to set up your schedule to prospect every single day. And if you're new, you're probably not going to have any appointments. If you can prospect 4 to 5 hours a day, you're going to kill it. But you got to be consistent. You got to door knock. You got to cold call. You got to circle dial. You got to just grind. If you're willing to grind, you're going to be successful, right? But I think the most important thing is have a lot of conversations. Have at least 5 new conversations about real estate per day, right? And do your follow-ups.
Hello, everybody. It's me. It's Aaron Wittenstein, and we're here with Vulcan7 Roadmap. This is where we teach you how to take an additional 1, 2, 3, 4 listings a week here. And we have a very special guest with us today. We have my guy, Paul Salazar, from wonderful Beverly Hills, California. Paul, say hello to everybody.
What's up, everyone? How you guys doing?
I got to say, we were talking a little bit. This guy right here is just, he's so relaxed and even keeled. It's nice to talk to someone like that, brother. So tell me a little bit about business. How'd you get into the business? Yeah. What does your business look like? Kind of, fill me in here.
Sure. I'll give you a little, a little overview. So basically I started in 2006, right out of college. And my mom was a real estate agent. I had, I knew I didn't want to do a regular 9-to-5 job. So she's like, do you want to work with me? I'm like, sure. And this is in the suburbs of LA, like an hour and a half east of Beverly Hills, where I work at currently, selling houses in between $200,000 up to $500,000. I did that for 3 years. And then my mom was like, why don't you go sell luxury real estate in LA? I'm like, Mom, I don't know anybody, but it worked out perfectly. She ended up moving back to Colombia, where we're from. And it was a great opportunity for me to move out of Rancho Cucamonga and move into LA. So that's when I started in LA in 2009. And when I moved to LA, I didn't know anybody, so I joined a team, a guy by the name of Chad Rogers. He's at Hilton and Highland, where I'm still at now. And I was working with him for 10 years. I should have left his team probably, 3 to 4 years after, we started working together. But I really had a limited, I had limited beliefs. And I think I thought that I couldn't really leave his team because I didn't have my own sphere of influence in LA, And I think what got me out of that was I started coaching. I think it was like 2 months after I started coaching, boom, I left Chad, and, hats off to Chad. He was a great mentor of mine. But I really need to go out on my own. That happened 4 years ago. And ever since then, I've been, kind of going up, and it's almost like I restarted my career back in 2019. And now it's so like I always say, like, I've been doing it for 17 years, but I've been really running a business as of 2019, so about 4 years ago.
So you basically you have 2 businesses. You have 2019 before and 2019 after.
Yes.
It's amazing how our businesses shift and evolve as the years progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're out of Beverly Hills, is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned something about the luxury market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my average price range is about $3 million.
Well, okay. That's great. And at least from my experience, and tell me if I'm wrong, are you expired for sale by owner? You do a little bit of everything. Is that right?
Little circle dial, expired, canceled. Yeah.
So I know a lot of agents, at least that I speak with on a regular basis, is that they get nervous calling these high-priced expireds because you're like 2, 3 million, 4 million, 25 million. What do I do? Yeah. So what's your take on calling these high-level luxury listings?
Well, I can tell you when I first started in 2019, I was practicing for months with my girlfriend at the time, and I was so nervous, to get on the phones. But I knew I had to do it. I knew that I needed to start prospecting, to get new business. It's the only way I can leave my last team and go out on my own, So it's all here, and it's so cliche to say that, but it's true. Once we get over ourselves and our limiting beliefs, then we can start doing things. And the only way to start doing it is just to actually take action, do a little practice, practice the scripts. But at the end of the day, you will never go down a whole script ever. Every conversation is different. It's about connecting with that person. It's about being consistent. So it is nerve wracking. So I was in that same, same stage myself, even though I sold real estate in this area for a long time, but still cold calling somebody new that I don't know was very scary.
So calling, I mean, like I said, calling the higher end stuff, or I don't
Hmm.
want to say lower end stuff, but let's say you have your middle market, of
Hmm.
X, okay, and then you have your luxury market of Y.
Hmm.
What is the main difference in calling X or Y, if you will?
I think there's a couple differences, and it's just this is just like I would say, it's not everybody's is not the same, right? So you may have a $20 million buyer who's super chill, but a lot of the 20 million, sorry, seller, a lot of the $20 million sellers are gonna know their stuff. They're gonna be CEOs, they're gonna be business owners, they're gonna be very sharp. So if you don't know your stuff, they're gonna be they're done, right? So you have to, it's all about like the first 15, 20 seconds of that phone call. You got to be really sharp. And so I think that's one of the main differences is that. Besides that is just like, they're just like anybody else. They're getting a lot more calls, like the higher end listings are getting a lot more calls. People from an hour away, 2 hours away, trying to break into the market that know nothing about the market are calling these homeowners. And so, how do they know you? I mean, obviously, I work with a pretty big brand here in LA, Hilton and Highland Real Estate. We're a luxury brokerage, but we're very well known because we sell like a lot of the bigger estates in LA. So it's like, how do you differentiate yourself in those first 15, 20 seconds is really key.
Okay, now if you know me, I got to put you on the spot there for one
Sure,
second. Your
sure.
15 to 20 seconds, the initial. What does that sound like? What are you saying to these people?
To me, it's all about your tonality and being relaxed. I
Sure.
don't so we'll say ring ring, hey Aaron, or I'll say Aaron, with
Yeah.
with like a question mark. I don't say hi, is this Aaron? Because we know it's going to be Aaron, right? So we'll say Aaron. They'll be like, yes, hey Aaron, what's up? It's Paul Salazar over at Hilton Highland. Listen, I know you've gotten a million calls, but I just wanted to find out. I saw your house was in the market for 180 days. I saw it came off the market. What's your plan? What's going on with your house? And listen, a lot of people hang up on me, and if they do, I call them right back, and I say, "Hey, I'm sorry, the phone just got disconnected." Right? So I try to stack as many facts as possible. So if you have, I'm sure you've heard of Phil Jones. So I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of Phil Jones.
Oh, yeah.
So I always try to stack as many facts as possible. Their house came off the market. They've been getting a million calls, right? And then I'll probably mention the agent and the company. You were on the market with X at Compass, so they know that I know what's going on, right? So I try to do a lot of facts, and the reason why I want to stack facts is because it builds trust,
Stack
right?
facts.
So I want to build trust with the person on the other side of the phone. And how do you do that? And the only way to do that is to say things that he knows, and things that I know, right? So when I have Vulcan up on the screen, I know who the last agent was, how many days it was on the market, what price it was on the market for, as well as the brokerage. So I'll name all those things.
So basically, what you're saying is, I like that stack facts. I like the way that sounds. That's
Yeah,
really good. That's
yeah,
slick. I like that.
yeah.
Is at least from what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, but there's not a huge difference between calling a high level,
Yeah.
a high end luxury listing versus a regular listing. It's you got to know your numbers.
Hmm.
You have to have the proper tonality,
Hmm.
and you have to have verbiage that makes sense.
Hmm.
So why do you think there's so many agents out there that are like, oh my gosh, I can't call, the luxury stuff? Why do you think that is?
It's all right here. It's
Yeah.
just like they just make a story up in their head. That's all. We just create stories because we have fear. So whenever we're like fearful of anything, we'll start creating stories about, I don't know the area, I'm not good enough, I don't know the house, they're not going to like me. There's so many things, so many stories that we create. And listen, when I first started, I was horrible. I spent 2 months calling for 2 hours a day, Monday through Saturday. And I got my first listing after 2 months. And after that, I was like, okay, that's great. And the reason why I got that listing wasn't because I knew the house or the market or whatever. It's because I connected with that particular
Right.
seller. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot. I mean, because it's about connection. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's about building. Building the That's what I just said. Is about building a connection with people.
Yeah.
Going forward. And I mean, at least to me, is you, you seem like that's something you're very strong at.
Mhm.
Am I right? Like people tend to like you is kind of the vibe that I'm getting, right?
At the end of the day, they're going to hire who they like. I mean, obviously,
Right.
some people are going to want somebody that's more knowledgeable. There's also, I think it's really important to know, Aaron, is the four different kinds of personalities. You have the analytical, you have the driver, you have the amiable, you have the influencer, right? So understanding, who that person is at the listing appointment, not on the phone, but on the listing appointment is super, super important. That way you can shift the way you communicate with them, and so that they can understand you and you can understand them.
I mean, speaking of like, understanding people, all right. I mean, it's like I said, it seems you're running a heck of a business, okay? And I mean, what can you share with us about your production that you're particularly proud of?
I mean, I went from making around $200,000 a year in GCI when I was working on the team,
Mhm.
and then within 2 years, I was able to double that, and for the last 2 years, I've been able to get around $800,000 in GCI.
That's great. That's really, really good. I mean, it just shows it's like the hard work you put in, but
Yeah,
it's the proper training. Because I mean, I mean, you said you're reading books, and you mentioned
Mhm.
what is it? Oh, the Phil Jones. What's the name of that one?
Yeah, Phil
Really.
Jones, Exactly What to Say is a great book.
Yes.
If you want to learn about the different personalities and how to work with them, the Social Styles Handbook is also a really good book that talks about the analytical, the driver, the influencer type, and the amiable, and how to deal with them. And I'm constantly learning and reading. Like I went to the Phil Jones, he's like it's not a one-on-one seminar, but he's like 13 people in a room, and it's
Oh
him.
wow.
And I sat next to him, and I just was absorbing everything that he had to say. So it's continuing to learning the skill set that you need to be a good salesperson. So if you want to get better at your craft, you have to practice it and you have to start learning.
Sure.
Yeah,
So, all right. So, we can talk about, the disc personality profile, if you will. You know
yes,
what I mean? And I
yeah,
think that's what we're alluding to right there. All right.
yeah.
And so, all right, let's say, for example, you're talking to someone on the phone. You isolate them as an I personality, an
Mhm.
influencer, influential, whatever it's going to
Yeah.
call.
Mhm.
How are you going to modify your script when you're
Mhm.
speaking to that? And how do you know that that's the person that you're speaking with?
Well, the influencer type is like it's kind of like me, right? They just like to be like they want to be complimented. So you can say something like, "Oh, you got a gorgeous house. That view, that your primary bedroom, that's a beautiful bed, or something like that." So you want to compliment them. It's all about them. You want to put them on a pedestal, right? Something that they can say that will let you know if they're that type of personality. They like to talk, so ask him questions, right? And Phil Jones always says this too. It's like the person who asks the most questions is the person in control of that conversation.
Right.
So it's really, really important as a salesperson is to ask questions and ask the right questions that lead you into a certain path, right? Which is booking an appointment if you're making a phone call, or if you're at a listing, is to get the listing agreement signed.
Exactly, exactly. So, I mean, let's talk about prospecting here for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how many hours, like a week, a day, are you prospecting on a regular basis? What would you say?
9 to 11 every morning from Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And then on Sundays, I have open houses.
Got it. So,
And I also door knock. I door knock at least once a week for 2 hours, and I try to do 4 hours a week.
so talk to me like you're doing your 9 to 11. What does that look like? Who are you calling?
Yeah,
What's your plan, if you will?
sure.
And talk to me about that.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, I got a really great morning routine, right? But if you were talking about just prospecting, we start around 9 o'clock, 9:30 after we look at the hot sheet and looking at all the inventory with my team. But I'm in the office. I used to do calls here at home where I'm at right now by myself. But then when I had the team, we did Google Meet. And then one of my team members was like, why don't we do it all together in the office? I'm like, sure, that sounds great. So now I drive to the office in the mornings, and we cold call together. And I cold call for 2 hours in between 9:30 to 11:30. And the first hour is going to be expired calls, canceled, and for sale by owners. So that's the first hour. And then the second hour is going to be follow-ups.
Got it. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're doing, and then okay. So and then you alluded to the fact if you have a particular morning routine that you work with as well. Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm always a big fan. Success leaves clues, and I
Yeah.
found very high level people like yourself have a tendency to do the same thing. In
Mhm.
the morning. So I'm
Mhm.
always curious to see if there's any deviations for that. So walk me through that.
Yeah, sure. It starts the night before. You have to have really good sleep. So I just hired a health coach. I just turned 40 a few months ago, so I really want to be a really healthy person and have good longevity. So one of the things that we're working on is energy, right? Because if you have a lot of energy, most likely you're going to have energy to prospect, energy to door knock, energy to do all these things that we have to do in order to grow our business, right? With low energy, we're not going to want to do those hard things, right? So for me, it's how do I maintain this level of energy throughout my life for a long time? Like I want to be able to do this for a long time, right? So it starts with eating healthy, right? So I do intermittent fasting. So I'm eating from 12 to 8, or from 12 to 7, or from 1 to 8.
Okay.
That's my eating time, right? And this has really helped me become more focused at work. And just feel better in general with more energy. So I usually in bed by 9:30. I read a book for 15, 20 minutes. And then by 10 o'clock at night, I'm asleep. And then I have the alarm at either 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I get up, I make my drink. I don't drink coffee, but I have like a cacao drink that I make. And then I go back to bed. I read a book for like 15, 20 minutes. I go for a workout. I do a short little meditation. I do my gratitudes, and then it's off. Like I do role play with two guys one guy on Wednesday, one guy on Friday, and then I have my social media meeting with my social media guy in Dublin, 7:30 in the morning on Mondays. I have my team meeting with my ops manager from 8 to 8:45, and then at 8:45 when I arrive to the office, I meet with my team. I have 3 agents on my team, and we go over the hot sheet, look at all the new inventory on the market. We do a little bit of role play, and then we're off to the races. And we're making calls, and we're trying to book appointments for the day.
You're a machine, right? It's
you have to you have to have a schedule, and it's got to be very strict. If you don't do it, then listen, I mean, there's plenty of people out there that find business other ways, or they have a big, sphere of influence. I don't have a big sphere here in LA. Like almost all my family lives an hour and a half away, and all my friends, right? I do have friends here as well, and I do get referrals, but my business is new as of 4 years ago. Right. So most of my business, I would say 70 to 80% of my business is still new business. So it's from door knocking, circle dialing, expired calls, FISBOs. Like that's still my bread and butter right now.
That's great. And I mean, it's just, building all that within a 4-year period of time. I mean, it's just, you should, I hope you are, but you should be very proud of yourself, because that's nothing that's very welcome. That's nothing to sneeze at, if you will. Yeah. Okay. So check this out. All right. Let's say that there's a brand new agent. Okay. Brand new agent. Like I'm talking 24 hours out of class. They decided to come work at your company. They walk past your desk. You're like, I hear this guy's pretty awesome. They can, this person knocks on your door and says, what do I do? Yeah. What's the first piece of advice that you will give this brand new agent?
I think the most important thing is, well, there's a couple things. First, you have to know the market, right? So this is why we look over the hot sheet every single day to see what's coming on the market, what's pending, what's sold, to understand things, right? And then number 2 is we have to have a plan. Like, all right, what's your plan moving forward? What's your schedule going to be like? So I always say prospect in the morning, because that's when you have the most energy, and prospecting is very draining for a lot of people because it's not easy. So that's a lot of energy being used. So a lot of people want to call in the afternoons. I'm like, you can do that, but most likely you're going to be tired and you're not going to make your calls. Yeah. Do your calls in the morning, right? So for somebody new out there that is looking to break into the business, you want to set up your schedule to prospect every single day. And if you're new, you're probably not going to have any appointments. If you can prospect 4 to 5 hours a day, you're going to kill it. But you got to be consistent. You got to door knock. You got to cold call. You got to circle dial. You got to do open houses. You got to just grind. If you're willing to grind, you're going to be successful, right? But I think the most important thing is make your calls, door knock, open houses, have a lot of conversations, have at least 5 new conversations about real estate per day, right? And do your follow-ups. But so I think that's what that's the advice I would give, is just focus on booking appointments with people that are looking to buy and looking to sell or lease. There
you go. That's a heck of a lot of advice. I hope someone walks past your desk one day and asks exactly that, because he just laid down the foundation. He just laid down the foundation for what needs to be done right there. Okay. Yeah. So all right. I mean, let me ask you this. So like one last final word or
Mm,
piece. I mean, you just gave a ton of pieces of advice right there.
mm.
But what's one final word, for all the people that are watching us today?
Look, treat this as a business. I think people get into real estate because it's, they're watching, Selling Sunset, or $1 Million Listing, and they're like, oh, this is going to be easy, blah blah blah. But it's like anything else, right? Like, you can be a multimillionaire in this business in any market. It's selling $200,000 houses or selling multi-million-dollar houses, right? But the one, like, if you look at everybody who's successful, they have a plan and they take action, right? So write a plan down. What's your plan? What am I going to prospect? How's that going to look like? And then just execute the plan and just have the conversations, book the appointments. And if you're new to the business, join a team, get a mentor. Mentorship is really, really important. Get a coach. That's also really, really important. And get Vulcan7, because honestly, that's the best data in the business. I've been using you guys for the last 4 years. And because of Vulcan7, honestly, like, I've made millions of dollars because of Vulcan7, because they have the best data. And that's honestly the most important thing. I used to have another dialer and another system, and I'd be wasting my time with people that weren't the real owners of those houses. And time is money, right? So you really want to be able to focus your time with the real people and the real owners of those houses.
I appreciate it, man. No, and that's all good stuff. And the nice part to see, like I said, is what I've learned from you today. All right. I mean, I've actually learned a lot of stuff from you today, but the one thing that I keep going back to is the luxury market
Mhm.
is no different than
Yes, right.
contacting
Yeah.
the normal, what do you call it, the regular, the standard market, if you will. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's like you said, Aaron. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's the only difference is you, and it's up here.
yeah,
It's up here. Yeah.
I agree. All right, my friend. Thank you very much for being here with us
But
today, Paul. If anybody needs referrals, if anybody looks to refer business to you in
yeah.
wonderful Beverly Hills, how do they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to follow me at Paul Salazar Group on Instagram, YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but just follow me on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. Like, I'll send you a message right away, and I'm always happy to help too. So if there's an agent out there that wants to have a conversation with me and wants to get started in the business, or wants to start prospecting and has like a mind block, give me a call. I'm easy to reach. You can email me. You can find all my information online. Just Google me.
There we go. All right, my friend. Thank you very much for being here. We've learned a ton from you today, and have an amazing day. All right.